Alright guys, how you doing? Welcome to episode 5 of the Southend Dog Training Podcast. Today's guest is Lee. In a moment we're going to get into Lee's story, how he found Southend Dog Training and how he actually later went on to actually become a Southend Dog Training employee. As always, we have Evan sitting over there looking pretty. Okay. If I make some huge blunders during this podcast, I do apologise. I'm not well. I've been dragged here under false pretences. But the show must go on. This is the last in the series, okay? So we decided that we're going to make the Southend Dog Training Podcast a series. So this is the final episode of Season 1. Mm-hmm. We will start Season 2 back up again.
Around about Christmas time.
Around Christmas time. I'm thinking a Christmas special to get us off.
Yeah, let's I like that. A Christmas special.
A Christmas special. Yeah. Guys, if you've got any ideas of something you'd like us to talk about for the Christmas special, if you want us to get a guest on, or whether you want us to cover something in dog training. We've had a request recently from a lady wanting us to get a guest on whose dog has been suffering separation anxiety, so we can break that down, what we did to help them. Or if you like me and Evan, if you prefer me and Evan just rambling, then give us something to talk about and we'll talk about that. We'll do a Christmas special and then I think probably the end of December, beginning of January, we'll launch Season 2 of the podcast. So far, guys, you've been amazing. Most of you seem to be actually watching us. You don't like to see our pretty faces. You like to actually listen to us when you're on the way to work on Spotify and iTunes. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. No, main reason we're going to end this season, guys, we're going to be focusing a lot more on creating better VIP video content for everyone, which is going to be not so much better, but refilming it, making sure it's in HD and things like that for everyone.
Well, it's one of the reasons we've had to take Leon. It's right. That sounded like Leon. One of the reasons we've had to take Lee on,
worse.
Bastard. Yeah. One of the reasons we've had to take Leon was because just time. Right now, physically, me training dogs, I'm booked up till January, and we're having people contact us for help, and they're actually having to go elsewhere because they're desperate and they can't wait. So we took Leon to actually help more people. Basically, we've got Evan, who's my business partner. Everything's just going absolutely 100 mile an hour.
If you look at everything, there's actually about 10 of us now working for Southend Dog Training, including the admins, and we've got people, obviously, my wife, for instance, responds to the Facebook comments. If you look at everyone that's putting in their little bit to help us, there's 10 of us going at Southend Dog Training.
And we're still swamped.
Yeah, we still can't cope. Hence the reason to end Season 1.
So we love the podcast, but we don't want the podcast to be neglected and start just putting shit together. Because we're having to rush it because we don't have the time. At the minute, we've got a day. It comes out every Friday. So obviously, when you're listening to this, it'll be Friday, or it would have dropped on Friday.
Yes.
But we don't want to start rushing out podcasts just for you guys to have them, but then in turn they actually be shit. So we're going to take a little break and do it in seasons. That way we can go, right, Christmas time, we've got a little bit of time to do the podcast, then we'll do another break, then we'll launch Season 3. That way everybody, because these podcasts are actually important to me. They're like,
I really enjoy doing them.
Like, people are actually listening to them and actually getting a lot of help. The feedback's been really, really positive. And it just adds a different spin. Like I said, we've got so much free content out there, but you actually have to have the phone there and watch it. Whereas with the podcast, it's another avenue. You can listen to it while you're on your way to work. You can listen to it while you're cooking dinner. You can listen to it while you're bathing the kids. You don't actually have to watch it visually. You can listen to it. And that's what the podcast adds. So it's actually helping a lot of people. Plus, obviously, listening to real life stories, people can relate to that. That's my dog. The amount of people that commented on Sophie's podcast, saying that's my dog. That's my dog in a nutshell. I had to say thank you to my dog from a previous. Yes. I was just reading a comment on that podcast. Actually, somebody said, "Oh, I wasn't clever enough to know that I had to thank my dog." It doesn't work. It does. Yeah. So, and you can when people go, "Well, I'm currently working with a trainer that's telling me to do all this bullshit." But it's not working, then they can listen to Sophie's story, for instance.
Maria. Why it doesn't work.
Yeah. So now we've got Lee. Lee has a dog that's probably the most serious dog I think I ever worked with. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't no pussycat of a dog. This was a dog with a fucking full-on bite history, as you know, Lee. As you
As
know,
I
Lee.
know.
So, Lee, for the audience listening or watching at home, why don't you introduce yourself a bit? Just let us know who you are.
Okay, I'm Lee.
Well done.
That's good, right?
Do you want my full name, date of birth, postcode?
Sex.
Yeah.
Last three digits of my PIN?
Yep, please. That'll do.
Won't get you anywhere.
No, I'm the one that has to put the money in the account.
Exactly right. Yeah, so I'm Lee. My dog that I've got is Koda. I actually went to view her for a friend of mine. She was never going to be my dog. I was never going to be adopting her. I was literally going to view her for a friend who was going to be fostering her because she'd been in kennels for quite a while and no one would go near her. When I met her, she was in a field that was an enclosure about 1.5 acres big. She was at the very top of the field. I've walked through the gate at the bottom and she just span on a dime and ran towards me. And you get to a point where you think, yeah, you're not going to stop, are you? And she didn't. She ran at me, lunged at my hand, bit into my hand, wouldn't let it go, dragged my hand back. I didn't want to pull my hand out of her mouth because it's just going to rip it open. So I left my hand in her mouth. She readjusted her grip on my hand. As she readjusted it, I got my hand out, which pissed her off even more. She circled me, bit through my trousers, bit into my leg, released it, so I kept walking. She's then ran away. I've sat in the middle of the field. I must have sat there in the pissing rain for a good hour with her, just staring at me. And then eventually she sort of moved closer to the point where she was there. And I remember saying to her, I didn't make eye contact with her. I had her face there and I could feel her breath on my cheeks. And I just said, if you wanted to, you could rip my face apart. But I'm trusting you. And she kissed me. And that was it. It just melted. It was love at first bite. And I just sat in that field and I remember, as stupid as it sounds, in the pissing rain, I said, I promise you, I'm going to give you a good life. I'm going to give you the help you need.
Yeah. There is that scary moment. I mean, this is something that we left out of last week's podcast when we were talking about my story. Because Evan didn't actually get the questions prepared like he was meant to, so we had to wing it.
Yeah, this is all this one is though. They're all winged.
They're not scripted. But yeah, when you mention Koda being close to your face, it reminds me of a time that I went to work with this mastiff that was human reactive called Cassie. She's not with us anymore, God bless her soul. She passed away to cancer.
Oh.
But the owner had MS, so really, really struggled. And this mastiff was very reactive. So I've gone round there. This was like one of my first jobs as well, and I knew what to do mentally, but it's not until you're actually confronted with that that push comes to shove. So I've gone in there, right, ignore the dog's nervous, it's very evident, don't hold your hand out, don't baby talk the dog, yeah, sat down, Jenny made me a coffee. All of a sudden I've got Cassie this close to my face. I can feel her breath on my face, and you got that moment where, and I don't care who the fuck you are, right? If a trainer says they've never been scared, they're lying, right? All I just remember saying, right, you can't panic in these situations. The dog will smell fear. And I'm thinking, I've got a mastiff whose head's the same size as mine, breathing on me like a fucking dragon. But there was something surreal about that moment. Like, yeah, I went to my happy place, just sort of tuned it.
Your last sort of fault.
Yeah, right, Jenny, you don't have a toilet. I can borrow it. But yeah, it was that. I get what you're saying because it's that surreal moment.
But it was also a moment for Koda as well because other people should be, and she had an extensive bite history. She wasn't one of these dogs that would bark and do nothing about it. She truth be known, wouldn't really bark. She'd just attack. There was no real warning with her.
Well, wasn't she a failed guard dog?
Yeah, she was kept chained up, and basically off the bloke that had her, from what I can gather, was an absolute knob, and tried to make her as a guard dog. But when he didn't have her as that, they kept her in the cupboard under the stairs.
Harry Potter story.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a moment for Koda in that field as well, because it dawned on her, well, hang on a minute, I've gave you my best shot and you're still here. Why? Which then made her intrigued, which eventually made her start coming over, because everyone she's obviously ever bit has done a runner.
Yeah.
And I was still there.
But this is how dogs work. I mean, good or bad, if a dog does something and it works for them, they'll continue to do it. This is why some of the worst dogs to work with are the ones with bite history.
Yeah.
Because the second that dog learns that biting makes that person go away, guess what the dog does? Yeah. It's going to do that.
To be honest, I'm glad she bit me, because I truly believe that day created the bond that I've got with her now. And had she not have done that, yeah, I'd still have a bond with her, but it wouldn't be the bond I've got with her now.
Well, had you acted like everybody else had acted and ran away or turned your back on her, not only would you have found her like everyone in life, but you wouldn't have got to where you are. Like I said, there's this guy in America, a dog trainer in America, and he gets a lot of criticism because when he works with aggressive dogs, he'll actually go with a bite suit and he will sort of challenge the dog. And when the dog throws all of its punches at him...
See, I can't afford a bite suit. I've just got a first aid kit in my car full of super glue.
Bandages.
No, just super glue. I glue myself shut.
Subtly dropping in, I need a pay rise. Adam, I can't afford a bite suit.
I also haven't got a new van.
I've got Loctite. That's the best I can do.
What PPE are you providing me, Adam?
You've got a hoodie. You'd be grateful.
Yeah, you got yourself a nice South End dog.
Wear the hoodie backwards.
I'll just wear my motorbike jacket. That's got all armour in it.
To be fair, do you know what works really well? Shin pads. If you ever play football, put some shin pads.
Still going to get your calf though, aren't they?
Well, buy lots of shin pads on your arms.
Multiple shin pads.
The problem with a bite suit, I mean, it works because the dog throws its punches at you and then realises it's not going to work. But in order for something to actually sort of be universal, the dog has to be put in that situation and taught how to behave. If it does it with one person, then it learns, okay, this one person I can't do that to, but that doesn't mean I can't do it to the next person I see and so forth. And the other thing is, with a bite suit with an insecure dog, sometimes it can freak them out because you walk in like the Marshmallow Man. Like, hello, look at me, I'm completely unnatural. So it can. Koda, bite history. It like I said, it was a surreal moment for you, and I completely get it. And it is a moment that I tell people that you're a fucking idiot, right? Because you go and meet her, right? She bites you, and then you sit there, bleeding. And the dog comes and sits next to you. It's like a fucking story. Like, it could be a film. And Koda's story is well documented, guys. I mean, if you want to see Koda from the very first session we met her to how she is now, some of the things she could do. Koda is probably one of the best trained dogs that I know, hands down. I mean, you went above and beyond for her, which we'll go into later on. But yeah, if you go onto our YouTube channel and click on the playlist, I do believe it is nice and simple to find. I'll just double check. I do believe it is Koda's story. Let me just go and have a look.
The other thing which sort of makes a story for me a bit more emotional is when I did adopt her and got her paperwork through. Her birthday's the same day as mine. She was born on the same day, not the same year, obviously, but she was born. There's
actually 16 videos of Koda. If you go onto YouTube, South End Dog Training, click on the playlist tab and then scroll down, you'll see Koda, GSD, human/dog aggressive. There's actually 16 videos of Koda. Her very first visit where she was a shell of a dog. Yeah. Like, she couldn't even sit outside and everything. But before we go into that, let's talk about, obviously, your journey to help Koda. So, we wasn't the first trainers that you contacted, was we?
No. The thing I believe when training a dog or trying to train dogs, because I for about, I think, 8 or 9 years, dogs in our family have been rescues and human aggressive, dog aggressive. We've never taken on an easy dog, so I've always worked with them. But I think the important thing when training a dog is if it's above what you can do, you need to ask for help. Yeah. And that's what Koda was. She was out of my league. So I looked for other trainers to help. And I spoke with 3 trainers who never met her. only went on what I told them on the phone, and the phone call lasted no longer than 10 minutes, and all three of them recommended either medicating her or putting her to sleep.
I mean, that again, this is why this industry is so broken. This is why there's so much conflict in it, so much conflicting advice, why there's so much animosity and so much hate and bitchiness. Because how anyone can come up with that recommendation, medication and or euthanasia without actually fucking meeting the dog is absurd. You would never give that. If you phone up a doctor, hi, my child is severely ill, yeah, she has some mental issues going on, right, she needs professional help that I can't offer her, right, I need a professional. The doctor's not going to go, oh yeah, you may have to prepare yourself that your child may have to be euthanised.
You might actually need to fly them to Switzerland.
But with a dog, it's far too quick to put the dog to, like, come on.
Well, I found a trainer that was about 2.5 hours drive away from me, and she said that, yeah, bring her down and we'll work with her. So I drove 2.5 hours down there, pulled up outside her house, got Koda out the car in true Koda style back then, going absolutely fucking mental.
She was a live wire, man.
And within 30 seconds or less of me getting Koda out the car, my phone rang, and it was the dog trainer that told me to bring Koda up to her, and she told me that she forgot to call me, she's unavailable, she's had to go out on a family emergency. So I put Koda back in the car.
And you saw her peeking out the window.
Pretty much, yeah. I drove to the end of the road because I had to sort Koda out. As I was sorting Koda out, I saw her come out of her house and then put some rubbish in her bin and then go back in her house. And I just thought, you know, I weren't at any point ever going to give up on her, but if you're not determined and if you don't know that your dog can be helped because other people are telling you they can't be helped, and you realise eventually that they're telling you that they can't be helped because they don't want to tarnish their reputation as failing because they're not capable of training that type of dog, rather than saying, no, you need someone else. Your dog can be helped, but I'm not the guy to help. They'll rather tell you to medicate it or put it to sleep.
This is a major issue in the dog world. Yeah. It really is.
It's all about reputation and status, and there ain't many people out there that train dogs that are willing to turn around and go, do you know what, this is above my grade.
There was one, I used to have this good relationship with this dog trainer, and she openly admitted to me one time that severe aggression cases such as Koda is beyond their expertise. And that's what we do best. Behaviour modification 101. Yeah. We want to wrestle with the dogs that fucking want to fuck you up. Yeah. That's what we'll do. I mean, I've locked myself in a cage with a dog and gone, oh shit, there's no looking back now. Right? Yeah. That's what we do, and that's what we do best, and that's what we're known for. But we get a lot of puppy inquiries and things. So this trainer was very good with puppies. So what we used to do was we used to trade. So if you come to me with a puppy, I'm like, oh, go and see this lady. Right, and then in return, she would send me the dogs that wanted to tear your head off. So
it's a good trade-off for her.
To be fair, they're the dogs I prefer.
It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you look at dogs like Tracy and Ace, Ace has been with us since he was a puppy. I think it's about 18 months now. She contacted us before Ace could even go outside. And Ace is one of the best trained Rottweilers I know. I mean, he's got such a stable temperament. He's entire. Just shows that with the right training, that neutering him doesn't need to happen. Yeah, that's just a lazy, quick excuse to fucking fuck up your dog. Sociable with dogs and people. And she's not actually with us now. She actually left the classes because she got to the level she's happy with. But that's rewarding to see a dog grow from a little puppy to like an adolescent dog to be a well-rounded, well-balanced, perfect example of a Rottweiler. But that's nowhere near as rewarding as, say, for instance, a dog called like Koda, who was an absolute shell of a dog, couldn't even sit outside, she was that tense, to the dog running around now where people go, oh my God, I want my dog to be like that.
Well, in all honesty, obviously, when I first started coming to training classes and we'd done a pack walk, when I met Koda, I was like, that's my goal. I just went, that is absolutely incredible. I don't know how you can get a dog to do that. You know, I won't say, basically it was down in motion, it was how Koda was 100 metres away, just hear Lee shouting down and boom, drops. And I was just like, That is the obedience I wanted. Yeah, you know.
When I trained Koda, obviously with you as well, but when I trained her away from training classes, Sam lost me for about 4 or 5 months because I was training her 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yeah. We want to get into this story because it's a very humbling story, and it's something that a lot of people that want you to fix their dog but think you're going to wave a magic wand, right? Because when people go, how do I get my dog like Koda? How do I get my dog to be able to drop from 100 feet away, 200 feet away? How do I get my dog to ignore other dogs? How do I get my dog that was so reactive towards people and dogs to be absolutely safe and bomb-proof around them? And as Lee said, it's 5 hours a day fucking sacrificing certain things to get to that level. A lot of people come in, I want my dog like Koda, but they're not prepared to put in the effort. No. I'm thinking, the way you do that is you bust your fucking arse.
Yeah. It's sort of the amount of people we have join our online group and then just go, oh yeah, I'm looking to fix reactivity. And you're like, okay, yeah, but you actually need to start here. And they go, can't I just watch one video on reactivity?
No. It's going to give you an understanding of where you need to go. But the fact that your dog's not going to break its focus from another dog, the fact that your dog is so overreactive towards them, is because there's a breakdown in your relationship. You have to start from scratch. Like you found out when you come to the classes, and obviously if you haven't watched episode 1, we did delve into Evan's story, but Evan, for a long time when he was coming to the classes, couldn't see the big picture at first. Why are we doing these downs and these sits and having dogs walk past? And he's like, my dog can do this. I'm like, yeah, but can your dog do this in the real world? Can your dog do this as a person walks past? And it wasn't until one day he's at the shop and there was loads of people walking past and Teddy didn't break his focus, didn't react, didn't do anything. He's like, I get it.
Yeah, it all made sense.
Yeah, because it's not just about going in there going, right, you're being a dickhead, stop what you're doing. It's about, right, why are you doing this? And this is what our online training group's about. This is what our whole philosophy is about. It's about the art of attention. It's about rebuilding that relationship. So, how personal can we go with you, Lee? Because I know very much you've become a very close friend of mine, and I couldn't think of anyone better to actually have as part of Southend Dog Training than you. But as being a very close friend, I also know a lot of what happened. So can we dig into the Sam possibly story, the beans on toast? Yeah. Okay.
I'm an open book, mate.
So you contacted us. Yeah, let's start there. So you contacted us. What made you contact us in the first place?
I was working with Koda when I fostered her, because I fostered her to begin with. And I was working with Koda and doing bits with her, but her reactivity was off the scale. I've like I said, I've worked with aggressive dogs, not as a dog trainer, but family dogs that I was helping and getting stable and balanced. And Koda, I got her to a certain point where she wasn't reacting as much, but I couldn't get her past that. And I made her a promise the day I sat in that field that I would give her the best life I physically could. And that meant asking for help. I spoke to a lady that I knew that was in your classes.
Was that Debbie?
Yeah. And she said, no, dog trainer is very good. Here's his number, give him a call.
Did I come with an explicit warning content? Because
you did, yeah. But that didn't faze me. That don't bother me because I'm very similar. So I was just like, yeah, that's fine.
Because Debbie's one of my favourite people of all time, right? Debbie used to recommend me to everyone, but she'd always say, right, he's very good at what he does. He's helped my dog, because Leela was also very similar to Koda, just without the bite factor. Yeah. She would give it a big I am, but as soon as you looked at her, she'd run into the corner. But she was very, very reactive, and of course, obviously, that's how I met Debbie. I actually met Debbie through the Killers originally, Boise. Yeah. But she used to recommend me to people, but she's like, I will warn you, he's like Marmite. You're either going to love him or hate him.
Yeah.
But if you listen to him, he will get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. So, yeah, I contacted you, told you a bit about Koda, and we booked in a home visit.
I remember that home visit because it was pissing down with rain.
That's
I think
right,
every
yeah.
time I come to Romford
Yeah,
to
well-
work with you, it was fucking raining.
Yeah. Unfortunately, dog
And-
training don't stop 'cause it's raining.
And the sad thing about it, right, was we had to work in the rain because Koda's reactivity was so severe. I didn't even get in the house on the first session. Yeah, so this isn't some pussycat. And people might be sitting there going, well, why didn't you put a muzzle on her and things like this, right?
I did to begin
Oh
with.
yeah, let's go to that.
And she would. Well, I've tried the hard plastic muzzles, the black muzzles, and the metal muzzles, and she had ripped all three of them off her face to the point where the hard plastic one she couldn't physically get off, so she cut her own eye open to rip down the bit that goes over the head, to get that off her face and cut all her eye open. And when I kept persisting with the muzzles, she had just shut down.
Yeah.
So you couldn't train her anymore.
So the thing is, right, I like to, unless the dog's been completely muzzle trained, which for some dogs is a lot harder than it actually sounds. For instance, Koda, yeah, shutting down at the sight of it anyway, and it's going to take weeks and weeks and months to condition her to the muzzle. But not only that, 9 times out of 10 when I go to someone's house, the dog isn't muzzle trained, and if I stick a muzzle straight on the dog, it's going to shut down, and you're not going to see the dog's true character. And so if I know that person's got hold of their dog on a lead, we can work with it, because when I'm dealing with human aggressive dogs, yeah, I have this sort of hands-off approach in the beginning until that dog's more comfortable. I see a lot of trainers going in, going, right, I'll take control of that dog. I watched one on TikTok the other day, it's got over 1 million views, and the dog's really stressed, and he goes, right, the first thing I did was take control of the dog and take it for a walk. I'm thinking, well, one, you added unnecessary stress for it, and two, that's not realistic because the guests aren't going to do that anyway. Who the fuck's going to take Koda for a walk when she's trying to kill her? Yeah? Oh, you might have bonded with it. Yeah, so, one, going in the house, that would have caused her major stress on top of an already stressed dog, yeah? And two, I didn't need to put a muzzle on her at this stage because I could easily just get Lee to bring her out. So I got you to bring her out to see what we're dealing with. And my God, this dog man will come out like a fucking gun going off left, right and centre. She was like fucking everything that moved, every sound, yeah. But you look beyond that when you're dealing with reactivity. A lot of people go, oh my God, that dog's going to fuck me up. But what I see is a dog crying out for help, as you knew. Yeah. She was so stressed. So we first thing I wanted to do was get you walking her properly because she was so tense.
She'd never been on a lead.
No, she was incredibly tense. Like, we didn't even really want her to sit or do anything like that because if you asked her to sit, she physically couldn't do a sit. And it's not that she couldn't do the sit; she was that
just fell apart.
tense that even this is what people need to understand. There's a fine line between adding a bit of stress to help a dog, or a dog being so stressed that there's things you don't need to do at that moment in time. I tell a lot of my clients, when you see a dog, pop your dog in a sit, give it a treat. If it breaks focus, give it a treat. But if the dog's like Koda, that tense, that stressed, forget the sit. You don't need the sit at this time.
And she wouldn't take treats anyway.
Because all you're going to have to do is force her down, force her down, force her down. You can see how tense she is. She's not going to take treats. She's terrified.
Yeah.
This is a dog that had never been socialised, poorly treated, locked under a stairs, and only thing she knows how to do is fucking make the world try and disappear by showing aggression. So we had you walking Koda in the pissing down with rain and things like that.
Yeah.
I think Alfred was the key to it. We brought Alfred with us, the Rottweiler,
right.
and she quickly gravitated to Alfred, which was I was able to come closer to you through the presence of another dog. Yeah. Because she was showing interest in Alfred, that confidence, that thing. I don't think she'd been around a sort of stable dog like that.
No.
And you could see her sort of relaxing in Alfred's presence, which allowed me to come closer because obviously she was doing good with Alfred and everything. So we did the first session. I didn't actually feel like we made massive progress in terms, like, if you watch the video, it's very boring. It's just us walking. If you have a dog that severely shut down and things like that, then you'll take a lot from that video, that first session with Koda. But if you're used to a dog's doing sits down, comes, heel, things like that, and you want sort of drama and things like that, then you're not going to find that video interesting. But from a behavioural standpoint, you could see as the session goes along that she starts to relax.
Yeah.
So that was the first session. What happened in session 2?
Session 2. It was that when I came to you?
Yeah, the session I wouldn't have come to you twice.
No.
Just the driving.
Yeah, I came to you, and we came into your kitchen, didn't we? And she was in a down, and she was just watching you like a hawk. And you, I don't even think you moved. I think you picked your vape up off the side, and she lunged at you, and went at you.
Yeah, I couldn't even move from my own house.
No.
But no, with Koda, because obviously you'd see my work with Koda trading, and this is again, it's that we're not going to go into detail because, like I said, I've freaking exhausted that till I'm blue in the face trying to tell people if you want to understand Koda trading, go join our online trading group, watch the 3 phases of it. We've got 3 videos on our YouTube of it. It's not an electric shock; it's a TENS machine. But we quickly decided that would be the best thing for her because she'd almost become numb to sort of any sort of correction, hasn't she?
It didn't phase her.
We needed something completely brand new that she'd never experienced that was clear, precise, and to the point.
Yeah.
So we opted for e-collar trading. You actually phoned me, didn't you? And said, "Do you think it would?"
I did my research on it because, completely honest, weren't a fan of them. Didn't know anything about them, but
just the thought of it. Yeah.
It's the name: shock collar, e-collar, electric collar, and they're not any of that. It's a muscle stimulant. It's only when you do your research and look into it and do research where you've got a complete open view of the facts rather than gauging it on other people's opinions. And I remember I was sitting at home and I said to my partner Sam, I said, I think I'm going to have her e-collar trained. I said, I think that's the road I need to go down with her. And even Sam was like, oh no, I'm not sure about that. I said, you know full well how much I love that dog. You know full well I would never harm her and I would never put anything on her that I wouldn't try myself first. I said, but I do think that's the avenue to go down. So I spoke to you, said, what do you think? And you agreed. You was like, yep, I think that'll be a good thing. And a decent e-collar ain't cheap.
No.
For the one she's got, it was 200 quid.
But this sorry to interrupt you, but this is what people need to understand. People aren't spending 200 quid
to hurt their dog.
To hurt their dog.
No.
Yeah, if you want to hurt your dog, you do what the previous owner of Koda did. Fucking treat her meanly and lock her under the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be honest. No one's spending that kind of money to inflict pain and torture on their dog.
And I know it don't sound like much money, but I'm not. I don't have money. I literally work, cover my bills, and as and when I can, with a bit of extra cash, like to take Sam out. So I've never had savings. I've never been in a position to do that. So I had to make sacrifices, and I'd already gave up smoking when I fostered Koda because I couldn't afford the petrol to go up to see her because she used to be in kennels in Milton Keynes. So I'd travel up to her once, twice, 3 times a week, and I just couldn't afford it and smoke, so I gave up smoking. So I had to find another sacrifice to make, but I knew I needed the e-collar like yesterday. So I had some money sitting in my account, ordered the e-collar. Once I'd ordered the e-collar and the money had came out of my account, I said to Sam, I've ordered her an e-collar. And she's like, how did you get the money? And I said, well, you know the money in my account? She's like, the food shopping money. I was like, yeah. She's like, right. I said, I've ordered her the collar. I said, I've used that. I said, so it's going to have to be beans on toast for a month. And that's what we done.
Was it really?
That's exactly what we've
done.
done.
It's the beans on toast story. This is what I mean. When people come to me and they want to help their dog, and they're like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. I'm like, well, how bad do you actually want this, right? Because when I've got someone that has just spent their shopping money and living on beans on toast to help their dog, tell me again why you don't have the time or the effort to put into.
Incredible dedication.
I will always bend over backwards to help people, but I won't take the excuse I don't have the time or I don't have the money.
No, it's an excuse.
Because I used to work 12 to 15 hours a day, and I'd train Koda 5 hours a day, so I was having 4 hours sleep a day, and I did that for 5 months. So I don't have the time. Don't wash with me.
If you break it down as well, and you think of how much money we waste on average, I mean, how many times a day do people go to like Tesco's or something and get themselves a coffee?
Yeah, meal deal, and all of that.
Meal deals because you can't make a packed lunch, or because you can't do this. Oh, what, you have to buy name brand food. You can't buy a fucking Asda price food, which tastes.
Pots of pasta.
I couldn't even afford Heinz beans on toast. They were Tesco's.
19p tin.
They weren't even
Aldi
beans.
7p. No.
But the reason Koda's got to where she is because you show me that kind of commitment, mate. We'll go fucking all over the place. You come to me with your fucking excuses. Oh, I don't have the time. Oh, things got in the way this week. Do you know what? Go and find a fucking trainer that wants to listen to those excuses. Yeah. Because the dogs that we work with, we help, and it's not just because we know what we're doing. We can only do so much with a dog. The handler has to show the commitment in. Yeah, we show the handler what to do, then it's up to them to go and do it. Make excuses, don't put in the time and effort. Of course, you're still fucking stuck at square one. Yeah. So, beans on toast, e-collar come. We wanted to e-collar train Koda. So again, we had to do the hands-off approach, and this is what I mean about e-collars. And people go, "Oh my god, that's a shock collar. How would you do it?" Well, the way we actually teach owners how to use the e-collar, it's actually the easiest tool on the market to teach, because they have to be the dog to begin with. Yeah. So I wasn't going to e-collar train Koda personally, as I normally do. Normally what I do with the dog is I'm the one that finds their working level, I'm the one that does the conditioning, and then we teach the owner how to use it, and then they go and continue the training until session 2's available. But what we did is we had to put Koda in the car because we couldn't be running around my house practicing being dog and handler without me losing limbs. So Koda was in the car, and of course you could hear her the entire time because anyone that walked past the car, it was a war zone. But so we found your working level, which is the lowest level on the collar that you recognise, that doesn't cause you pain or discomfort, and you was Koda. So we put you on a lead, you was wearing the e-collar yourself, and I'm conditioning you, I'm pushing and holding the button so you can feel it, communicating with you so you can feel when the button's on, when it comes off, and things like that. We went over and over and over that. Then you do it to me, because this is how I know if the client's going to be able to continue the training when they leave me, is I'm the dog. I'll put the e-collar on myself, I will let them zap me, so I can feel if their timing's correct, if they're holding the button long enough, if they're letting go of the button at the right time, if they're marking and rewarding at the right time. And it's not until I'm satisfied that their timing is consistent with me every single time, do we then allow them the keys to the Ferrari. Yeah. I mean, technically that's what it is. It's a high-end dog training way. That's what it is. Yeah. If you don't have a driving license, I'm not going to give you the keys to my Ferrari. You get a driving license, show me you can drive sensibly. Yeah, I might let you drive the Ferrari. I'm talking like I have a Ferrari.
It's a red jumper.
Says Ferrari. I like Joey from Friends with the Porsche. Have you seen that?
No,
Have you not seen it?
I probably have.
It's where he finds keys to a Porsche and somebody walks past and they're like, "Oh, nice car, nice car, nice car." Then the guy actually comes and takes the Porsche, but he realised how much attention he got from the Porsche. So he got loads of cardboard boxes, stacked them like a car, put a blanket over it, got a Porsche hat, Porsche coat. So I don't have a Ferrari, I just have the Ferrari gloves and the hats.
Just have the boxes and a car sheet.
But I mean, the analogy's the same, So then what we did, obviously, we then found Koda's working level. I gave you plenty of space and I got you to go outside, and I was pushing the buttons. And every time I said now, that's when I wanted you to call Koda. And we're teaching Koda that the sensation of the e-collar meant pay attention to you, meant the e-collar stopped and good things happened. I think he was playing, it was just fuss alone with Koda, wasn't it? Because again, at this stage, she's still not...
Yeah, she wouldn't take treats in public. She wouldn't take treats full stop. She wasn't a lover of toys. She weren't even a great lover of fuss, to be fair, but she almost sort of humoured me. I mean, "Oh, go on then, give me a stroke. Go on, good boy."
So we got through that, I think we had another session in between that as well, because you was like, I just want to do as many sessions as it takes. I don't care how many it takes. I think I was working with you almost weekly because
it was. I was having one home visit a week, and probably sometimes when I could afford it, another one.
Yeah.
Because I already thought, if I'm living on beans on toast, let's just cut the fucking beans out and just have toast.
Yeah, no, because we was doing some socialising in between the sessions as well, because you just wanted to basically do whatever. Look, if I have to do this many sessions, if I have to come once a week, twice a week, I don't give a shit. I just want my dog fucking sorted. So I think it was the second e-collar session, 2 weeks after the first one. We got Sam to come and help. Sam with Humbug.
Yes, that's right,
Yeah, Sam with Humbug. And I remember, this is how, when people tell me e-collars are bad, this is why I call bullshit, right? Because the e-collar, you could finally see Koda beginning to relax.
Yeah.
And it was in that session with Sam, 2 weeks after beginning e-collar training, that Koda weed outside. I was celebrating the dog weeing. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
She walked to the end of my road where there's a little patch of grass, and she actually squatted for the first time.
Yeah.
Right, and if you've got a dog that is super tense, they cannot relax enough to go a toilet. So for Koda to actually squat like a dog was a clear telltale sign that we're heading in the right direction. Everything we're doing up until this point is helping, right? To somebody else, it's a dog squatting. Yeah. Most people take that shit for granted. Walking down a road and they stop because their dog wants to cock its leg on every lamppost, or they stop because the dog's But for Koda, that was a huge moment. Yeah, massive deal. So and then all of a sudden we got Humbug, a dog that I've trained, a staffy, super well behaved. I'd love to get Sam on here at some point, because Sam's like a testament to hard work and commitment as well. And we had a couple of dogs, and we took Koda out, and then we dropped Koda's lead, and she was doing really, really, really well. That wasn't the second session with the e-collar. That was in between.
That's right,
the session, because the second session with the e-collar is when you come over to my training field.
That's when you wanted me to pick you up and forgot.
This was brilliant, right? So this wasn't the second e-collar training session. This was a session in between session 1 and 2. So she wasn't even completely e-collar trained at this point. She's just about a few days into e-collar training. So you've seen what it's done. We took her over with Sam and everything like that. And one of the methods we use, which is really, really good, if you've got a reactive dog that won't take food, that doesn't really like fuss, but will like to carry something in their mouth. Koda was still reactive, but when she had that rope toy in her mouth,
it didn't sound so fierce.
No, she would kill the rope toy. She would kill the rope toy.
Yeah, she would.
But we actually used that as a pacifier, if you will. So Koda used to like to carry this rope toy in her mouth, and if she saw a dog or a person, she would then take it out on this rope toy.
Yeah, she'd violently shake it.
But I would take that over her trying to lash out at the other people moving. The toy in her mouth almost gave her some sort of purpose. Yeah. So what we did was, when she started to win, you could see she was relaxing. She's carrying this rope toy in her mouth. We've started e-collar training. We actually took that toy away from her and actually then started to use that as a reward. Now she's more relaxed. Now she can actually start to go to the toilet. Now she can behave like a dog. Yeah? Now we're going to use that as a reward. So if she saw a person and broke her focus, we'd then play tug of war with her. And that's how it went. So, funny story. Yeah, second session. It was an evening. You come down on a Monday night after my Monday training classes, and when I'll drive to you, that's absolutely fine. I didn't have a driving license at the time. I actually had someone working for me that used to drive me everywhere. Yeah. And you went, oh, that's fine, I'll give you a lift home, it doesn't matter. I was like, oh, yeah, sure, if you don't mind then, mate, come down after the fucking training classes, we'll do the second session with Koda, right? And you give me a lift home. It wasn't until I put the phone down, I was like, I phoned my wife, I was like, I just agreed to have Lee come down for the second session. She said, well, what's wrong with that? I said, he's going to give me a lift home. She said, Koda's going to be in the car like this, close to the back of my head. But she's going through training, she's doing really, really well, but I've got to put myself in. You had a Jag at the time, didn't you?
I had a Jag. She was on the back seat, and one of her issues was, if she was in the car, she wouldn't let anyone else in.
Yeah. Her reactivity in the car, which we're going to delve into, how we helped her all round reactivity. Her reactivity in the car was the same as her reactivity in the house. Yeah, it was just another thing to guard, another thing like you're not coming anywhere near that. So it was pretty much black and white. How she is in the house, how she is in the car. So we actually did some work before we got in the car, which probably saved my face. Right. So the second session with the e-collar training is when we like to introduce corrections. It's about 2 weeks after they've gone through the conditioning phase. So they understand that the sensation of the collar means they have to do something, that sensation stops and good things happen. This is all low-level e-collar training, levels that you would barely recognise, feels like someone's tapping you on the shoulder. When they understand that implicitly, then we start to add in the correction, but it's only then we add in the correction. So one of the things we did, because her reactivity in the car was the same as her reactivity outside, was I walked towards the car, right, and knowing that she's going to go fucking Garrity, right? So as soon as she said that, right, as soon as she reacted, I was going to give her a correction with the e-collar. So this is about 40 levels higher than what she was used to. Yeah, it's 1/16 of a second, straight to the point, like a lead pop. Oi, enough. Yeah. So I said, right, when I do this, I want you to say enough and make her lay down. Yeah. So I walked towards the car. She tried to go through the fucking window at me. I corrected her. You go enough and get her to lay down. Yeah. And then you make a fuss of her. So I walk away, come back towards the car. She does the same thing, goes absolutely Gary. So I correct her again. You go enough, lay down, and then you give her a fuss, right? And then we left it. We didn't want to put too much stress on her, so we stayed there. Koda's in her down. She's relaxing. Her legs have gone to the side. She's not in that pouncing position. I said, right, I'm going to go and pick the cones up from my class, yeah, and then come back towards the car, and I expect she's going to do the same thing again. So lo and behold, we do it. Same thing. I gave her a correction again. You repeated enough, got her to lay down. She looked at you, made a fuss, right? And it was that. No, actually, you didn't even have to get her to lay down. She actually barked, and when she got a correction, she laid straight down. Yeah. You made a fuss of her, and it was that light bulb moment. I felt like that was the moment in time with Koda.
Yeah.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
That was it. After that, I had not seen her show aggression towards a person ever again. Yeah, it was almost like that light bulb went off in her head. Right, I don't have to do this. I don't have to be so on guard. Dad's got it. Yeah? If I just fucking lay down and relax... Hello? If I just lay down and relax, not only do I get a fuss, but nothing bad happens to me. And she actually started doing that. You could see them when you join my classes, when people come towards her, she actually started to lay down. Yeah. As opposed to getting so loaded and going, I'm going to fucking have you, she would start to lay down. And every time she did it, you was always there to make a fuss of her. And it was that light bulb moment, that clarity. 3 decent corrections with you at the right time, giving her the right information. That was it. That was the light bulb moment for Koda. Yeah, and hands down, that is the moment that everything changed with her. Yeah, she was a different dog. The e-collar gave her freedom. You was able to let her safely off the lead, call her back to you, and that's when you were spending like 5 hours a day when you weren't with me, going over to the field. You used to take your little cones over there and send me videos, and a lot of that's on the YouTube as well. Yeah, practicing everything with her. She'd just become that dog, that role model dog. Yeah, because it wasn't just about stopping the reactivity and having her relaxed. You wanted to do...
I wanted her to have the best life she could and be off lead. But to be off lead where her recall is 100% on point, I don't think you should ever have a dog off lead if it's never going to come back to you, or if its recall's hit and miss. I've had it before. I've had dogs come charging up to us, barking and snarling, and the owner's calling their dog, and the dog's like, no, bollocks, ain't coming. And they're like, oh, well, his recall's 50-50. Well, then it shouldn't be off lead. And I wanted Koda to have the best life. I made her that promise. And for me, her best life is being off lead and being free and enjoying life. But coming back to me when I tell her to, every time. 100% of the time. Not 99%, 100% of the time. Because that 1% of the time could be she's run into a road and got hit by a car and didn't listen.
Yeah, it was during all this time as well. There was that e-collar protest that was going on, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And of course, Koda was one of the big sort of advocates and selling point for e-collars, because it's at the time that the government wanted to ban e-collars. The Kennel Club were petitioning to have them banned. The RSPCA petitioning to have them banned, and we all went down to London to Parliament to actually
That's right.
talk about this, and Koda was one of those ones as well. But it was the commitment and dedication you showed to Koda that got me. It was having that balanced dog, because that's what she become, that balanced dog. And I started actually sending people to you behind the scenes of dogs that needed that bit of exposure towards other dogs. So not only was I knew that you were prepared to take a bite if necessary, you've got no problem fucking getting in the middle of something. The work you've done with Koda, that fearless attitude, and the way you are with people. Yeah, you may look like a meathead, right? But you do actually have this very soft, sensitive side to you that comes out when you're dealing with dogs. I don't see it when you're dealing with public. I only see it with Lee. It's like, if you've got a dog, he's like the nicest person in the world. He'll talk to you about dogs, and he's sensitive in his cariness. If you don't have a dog, you're a bit like me. Like, why are you even alive?
Yeah.
You don't have a dog.
What's your purpose on the planet?
Yeah, I mean, do you have a dog? No, what's wrong with you? I don't trust you. You don't have a dog. Oh, you've got a dog. Oh, let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. So I remember sending Chris with Ranger to you and things like that, and you was helping, and I could see that you would actually make a real decent asset to the team. And I knew you wanted to be a dog trainer, and you was working at a kennels, wasn't you? Volunteering at a rescue.
Yeah, a rescue. Yeah.
And you was the one that they would sort of send to the dogs. We got videos.
I was disposable.
Yeah, so basically, if somebody just rehomed a dog, or there was a dog that had to be assessed at a kennels or pulled from the pound, it was send Lee. And you were sending me videos. You was always sending me videos. You wasn't even a dog trainer, but anytime you went to do anything with a dog, you'd send me a video and go, can you just see that I'm doing everything right? Is there anything I could change that I could help the German Shepherds in the rescue? Is there anything I could be doing better to help the dogs in the rescue that I'm going into the homes to help? And it was just this all-round commitment. But what I noticed was this relationship you have with a dog. And this is what a lot of people don't have. You can study for years and years and years, and you can learn everything A to Z about dogs. But one thing that is essential to helping dogs is being able to have that rapport with dogs, that natural instinct, that natural ability, when to push, when to slow down, when to be more authoritative, when to be softer. It's something that can't be taught. And that's why a lot of trainers fail, because they have all the knowledge, but they just don't have
the practicality
of it. When you see them working with dogs, they're awkward, their energy's off, their body language is off, their posture's off.
They're trying to process too much about everything they've read. They just don't know naturally. You know, they're going, oh, the dog's done this. What do I do?
I mean, case in point, Victoria Stilwell is probably one of the best ones to look at. If you actually understand about human body language and dog body language, she's probably the best one to look at when you watch It's Me or the Dog. Yeah? Because you watch how awkward she is anytime she's around an aggressive dog. Like this stiff posture, just turning around. She wants to be the face on television to help, but her body language screams, attack me. And she has been attacked because of it, because you can tell that she doesn't actually have the right mindset for it. Yeah? And that's something that comes natural. You're working with a different species, and we're very connected to dogs, but some are more connected than others. And that's what I was seeing. Not so much the time you was taking, but that connection you had with a dog, how you was able to go into that house and say next to nothing and have that dog gravitate to you. And that, to me, is something that can't be taught. And I was like, I'm going to give him a job one day. I will. At the time, I didn't want to give you a job because you're a friend of mine as well. And it's a big commitment to take someone on. And no longer is it just about me. I mean, if I have a day off, I don't get paid. But if work dries up or something like that, I've got to think about paying you. So what we let that go on a little bit longer, and then you got Caesar, didn't you?
Yeah, thank you.
And I did no training. Yes.
Your fault.
Yes, my fault. So Caesar was a German Shepherd that wasn't meant to actually come to... You wasn't actually meant to have Caesar, was you?
No, not at all.
Caesar was another troubled dog. Would you say he was worse than Koda, or...?
No, I wouldn't... In certain senses, yes. But with Koda... Koda was very much like a sniper. She'd attack and know where to attack to cause damage.
Yeah.
Caesar's more like the baby that you've dropped on his head a few
He's
times,
fucking
and
dopey.
he'd want to attack, and he'd go to attack, but wouldn't really know where to attack. So
but he was another failed guard dog,
Yeah.
wasn't he? This is what I
He
mean.
was-
I mean, if you spend any time with German Shepherds and rescues, you find a lot of fucking cowboys get these dogs.
he was bought by a couple which had drug dealers at the back of their house dealing weed. So they bought him to scare the drug dealers off. He lived in the garden. I think every now and again they allowed him in the house, but he was fed scraps. And the heartbreaking thing about him was when I went to view him, like to assess him for the rescue I was working for, there is a pile of scraps in the back garden which almost looked like a mini compost heap. It was carrots, lettuce, cucumber, bit of rice. And he was so skinny. He was, I believe, I might be slightly wrong, but I believe when I first got him and weighed him, he was 29 or 30 kilos at the most, which anyone that knows Caesar looking at him, he's a 50 kilo German Shepherd.
Oh, he's a big boy.
He should be a 50 kilo German Shepherd all day long.
He was incredibly underweight. I mean, he's
His
a very big
claws-
German Shepherd.
His claws were so long they were curled under, to the point where when he was walking, his feet weren't walking, it was his claws. He again had a bit of an extensive bite history. He'd bitten a child. He'd bitten people out in the street as they walked past him.
So
Yeah.
with Caesar, I mean, we're not going to delve into Caesar's story too much. I mean, we could always have you as a returning guest, and we could go over Caesar's story. But the reason I bring up Caesar, is because Caesar was not too dissimilar to Koda, as you've just explained. Had a bite history, wasn't afraid to bite, had bit people, come from a traumatic background, failed guard dog, mistreated, malnourished, as you can tell, like 50 kilo German Shepherd, but weighs about 29 kilos. So the reason I mentioned Caesar, and like I said, it will be good to have you back on. Once you've done more work for us and people are more familiar with you, we can get you on and we can tell Caesar's story and we can tell some of the cases, how you find him working for us and things like that. But the reason I bring him up is because this was the defining moment that I decided that I was going to have you work for me. Was I didn't do any work with Caesar. Didn't handle Caesar, didn't touch Caesar, didn't do anything with Caesar. You did everything and you filmed everything and you kept asking me every day, am I doing everything right here? Should I change anything? And there was the odd thing here and there to tweak it. But what you'd learnt from Koda, the stuff you was doing with the rescue, the connection you had with dogs, you was taking it and you was running with it. And I was like, if you can rehabilitate a dog like Caesar, that's pretty much as bad as it gets. If you can get him to the point like that, the dogs that you were sending me that you're going into the houses with rescue, I'm thinking these are dogs that I'm seeing on a daily basis. If you can have that sort of emotional connection with another dog, you're someone that I need to have work with me. And that's what it come about. It fast forwards to the time why we're taking a break now from the podcast. This is the final episode, is because of time things. The reason we took Leon is because
we are just so busy.
We're just so busy. I wanted to do it after Christmas originally, being that Christmas is always one of those times that does quiet down a little bit. But when we're turning away work or having people go elsewhere, I'm thinking, I said to my wife, I said, this ain't right. I said, people are coming to us because they trust us, because they want us to help. We're the first point of contact. Yet because we're telling them they're going to have to wait till January, they're having to go elsewhere. And I'm like, that doesn't sit right with me. Why are you going? Because in the local area, we don't have many good dog trainers either. So I know what's going to happen is they're going to waste their money, because they're all force-free trainers in this area. They're going to waste their money on that. Then they're going to have to come to me anyway, and I'm not happy with this. This doesn't sit right with me. If you want to come and work with me, you should be able to work with me. You shouldn't have to go somewhere else and then come back to me when that bit fails. So my hand was full, so I was like, yeah, right, I spoke to you, and we agreed to take Leon. And here we are. You've already done one job for me. A bit easy job for you, but you officially start Saturday, don't you, Lee?
Yeah.
So those of you that are interested, what's going to happen is obviously Lee will film Saturday session.
Yep.
If it's worth filming, upload it onto obviously Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, things like that. But what I will tell people, because again, one of those things is when people contact us, they want to work with me. But I want to tell people that I wouldn't have taken Lee on if I didn't trust that he could maintain the integrity of Southend Dog Training. Southend Dog Training is the baby I built from the ground up. Even taking Evan on as a business partner took a lot of time and consideration because it was my baby.
Yeah, of course.
Giving a piece of it to someone else or hiring other people to do it, that's when it can start to get. So I'm very selective about the people, and like I said, we've already got videos of Lee and what Lee can do. You can see all of Koda's journey on our YouTube. If you just go on the playlist and click on Koda, you'll be able to see her journey. But it's that connection you have with dogs. It's that fearless attitude you have with dogs, and knowing when to push, to knowing when to be patient, and knowing when to talk, to knowing when to shut up. And your connection with humans that have dogs, that want to put in the effort. Also, what I didn't mention throughout this was I've been having you run my classes as well.
Yeah.
I had you run my classes for a while to give you more experience and things like that. And I told you one thing: don't let them take the fucking piss out of you. And I remember one class, it all went a bit Pete Tong, and you went fucking mental at them, and you phoned me up, and you were so frustrated. I said, "Did you fucking go mental at them?" And you went, "Yeah." I went, "Fucking good." Yeah, because that's what I need. I need someone that is gonna tell somebody exactly what they need to hear when they need to hear it, without worrying that they're gonna fucking offend someone's feelings. But also, when they need to be soft, be understanding. And that's what we're getting, and that's why I'm more than happy to send you into people's homes, because I know that you're going to maintain the integrity of Southend Dog Training.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so
that's it. I do just need to mention slightly, but going back a little bit there. Obviously, when you said about Victoria Stilwell, you know, you can see her body language tenses up and things like that. Do you think that is why Nikki only talks about other dog trainers? She doesn't film herself with dogs.
Yeah, I do. Right, Nikki is my number one fan. She's a dog trainer up in London Way. She likes to slag me off and get really personal.
Yeah.
And
so that's probably why she doesn't. She just films herself talking about dog trainers.
Well, she did used to put footage out, but she put a video up once of her training dogs, and it got some negative feedback because obviously, if you actually pay attention to her dogs, I met her dogs at the actual e-collar protest, and they just looked shut down and miserable, right? So people started sending negative comments to her. And then she removed the video, and she's never posted a video of her training dogs since. But what she has done since then is taken other trainers' videos of them training dogs, collaborated with some fucking idiot from America, right? And all they do is bitch and moan and tear down other trainers. Yeah? So her attitude stinks, right? She tears down other trainers. Yeah? I still won't give her second name out.
No.
Because she just doesn't deserve the airtime. It's just it's fun to...
Well, that was good. Well, that was a 30-second plug I was after.
Yeah, there we go. Episode 5, we've mentioned Nikki every time. She's an absolute...
That was the goal.
Fucking cockend. Yeah, like I said, I mean, she couldn't even fault the training. She just got personal and started bringing up shit from my fucking... about my family that I don't even talk to. I'm thinking, you're just fucking clutching at straws, like... moron.
But anyway, that is episode 5.
That is episode 5, guys. That is going to be the end of the season. Okay. What I will need from you guys, if you're watching it, if you've made it to the end of this episode, if you've been watching all of it, what we want to do, we're going to have a Christmas special coming up around Christmas time, obviously.
Ironically.
Okay. But what we'd like is, we're probably going to have it with me and Evan. Yeah, what we want is some topics to talk about, guys. If you want us to talk about things, we can talk about aggression, we can talk about anxiety, we can talk about things like that. If you want us to get, because we've dealt with every kind of freaking issue imaginable, so if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, my dog's not aggressive, but I really struggle with separation anxiety, I really struggle with my puppy,
toilet training, whatever be it.
We can basically select the guests we have on based on the criteria you want us to meet. So your feedback is important to us, so do let us know.
And if you want to be on the show, email help@southenddogtraining.co.uk with your details, and we'll get back to you and let you know.
Yes, we're happy to have anyone come on the show and things like that. Just talk about dogs. That's what it is. We talk shit. We talk about dogs.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap it up there, guys. I managed to make it to the end, which I'm shocked. I've been trying so hard not to have a coughing fit because I really ain't well right now. Yeah, I've got some freaking
That's why Lee's leaning slightly away.
sinus problems going on.
Sitting next to a germ.
Pretty much. So yeah, cheers for everybody that's watched every single episode so far. We will be back very, very soon for season 2. Like I said, there will be a Christmas special coming up. Stay tuned for videos of Lee training other dogs. He's a fantastic addition to our team. I couldn't think of anyone better to be out there training dogs for me at the forefront.
And if you're in the VIP members group, obviously look out for the new footage.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, we do have a Southend Dog Training app, which is available to download on Android and
Apple.
Yeah. Well done. So, as always, there's Pretty Evan, there's Lee, and I'm Adam. Cheers for everyone that tuned in, and we'll talk to you guys all soon.